Well, good morning, everyone. Grant Stinchfield here. I guess I say good afternoon, depending where you're watching. But we got big issues. We got big issues in Minnesota with Governor Tim Walz, and more information coming out about Tim Walz, this connection to the Somali community. 78 of the 86 arrested for this massive $1 billion fraud in Minnesota are Somalian. So what's going on there? Are they literally the fraudsters of all fraudsters? Because when you consider the percentage of the population in Minnesota being Somali, it's not very big. Yes, there's a large community of Somalis, but when you compare it to the entire state, it's not very big. And yet you have this situation where the Somali community basically upended the government in Minnesota, wasting $1 billion. And what did they spend money on? Homeless people that didn't exist. Autistic Somali children that didn't exist. You had Medicare payments for things that didn't exist. Food and hunger programs for Somali communities that didn't exist. And where was all this money being funded back to? Terror groups in Somalia. Not all the money, but a large portion of it. We're going to get to a lot of the bottom of it. We're going to play Tim Walz's response to all of this. My Lord, this guy is so out of line. He's so delusional. He was the man overseeing it all. This happened on his watch. He needs to be held accountable more than anybody else. So as we get to Stinchfield here, before we do, I want to tell you about my friends over at Patriot Mobile. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. It is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. I'm so proud to be associated with Patriot Mobile. If you're not signed up with Patriot Mobile, you need to be, because every time you pay your cell phone bill to the other big cell phone companies, you're helping fund the woke agenda of the left. That's where they donate their money. As opposed to Patriot Mobile, which supports free speech, gun rights, right to life issues. They're down at a local level, inside schools, putting up signs, "In God We Trust" signs. If you believe in America, well, then you've got to be with Patriot Mobile. Be part of the parallel economy, America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. It's why I'm with Patriot Mobile, and you should be too. A free first month service if you sign up today. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-PATRIOT. And you tell them that Grant Stinchfield sent you. All right, folks, let's get the show started.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right, welcome, everybody. So you have a set of whistleblowers that have come forward in Minnesota to basically blow the whistle on Tim Walz's government, and apparently this was going on all the way back to at least 2016. And so I don't know if you've heard this video that was put out by the whistleblowers, but I want you to, because it sums up exactly what was going on and what was the problem. Okay, listen.
Minnesota Democrats, media, and the Department of Justice have continually ignored strong evidence supporting the fact that Ilhan Omar may be directly involved in tax, marriage, and immigration fraud.
In 2002, Omar married Ahmed Hirsi in a religious ceremony. Hirsi is the father of Omar's 3 children, and is pictured often with Omar and their children on their campaign website.
In 2016, Minnesota journalist Scott Johnson received a tip about a post from a Somali community website containing marriage certificates alleging Omar married her brother, Elmi, in February 2009, in order for him to immigrate to the U.S. legally, despite the facts she'd been married to the father of her children, Hirsi, over a decade.
This clearly proved that any such second marriage might be bigamous under Minnesota law as well.
So again, this is getting to the bottom of who I believe is very closely involved in this fraud, and investigators need to dig down into Ilhan Omar, the congresswoman from Minnesota, who basically has pledged her allegiance to Somalia over the United States when she's supposed to be an American citizen. This, I believe, makes her ineligible to be an American citizen. Her citizenship should be revoked. I'm with President Trump when he says deport her.
as fraudulent.
Tactics and physical violence on themselves and their families still back in Somalia.
Let me just explain how the Somali community operates. They go back to violence all the time. This is how they run. They're like the mafia, the old style mafia on steroids. They will break your legs if you go against them. It's how they operate in the country of Somalia. That's why that country is such a hellhole. And it's how they operate now, like a little mafia. And they will threaten you with violence. And so you got Tim Walz. It's basically, at best, turning a blind eye to the fraud run by Somalis. At worst, helping them.
In an obtained identified Elmi's father as.
As Nur said, Elmi Mohammed, the same man who calls himself father to Ilhan Omar.
So it is a secret of Ilhan Omar, not so much anymore. You tie that in with the fraud going on in Minnesota. Minnesota's got a big problem. This all gets back to the invasion, the Muslim invasion of America that I talk about so often. Now, let's take a look at the Minnesota Housing Stabilization Services budget, okay? This is where I believe much of the money was being funneled through as I start to read reports on this. Check this out. In 2021, they spent $21 million on the Minnesota Housing Stabilization Services. Do you know what the called for budget was? $2.1 million. So 10 times that is what they spent. In 2022, it doubles, almost triples in 2023. Then you see in 2024, it balloons to over $104 million. And halfway through 2025, the first 6 months, we're at $61 million, putting it at $122 million estimate for 2025. This on a budget that just 4 years ago was supposed to be $2.1 million. So here's what you have happening. You have the fraud that is being played out, and taxpayer dollars being flooded into this Minnesota Housing Stabilization Services to pick up for the illegal aliens that are coming into that state, many of them Somalis, and from African, East African countries and beyond. Now, $1 billion is the fraud. What do you think Tim Walz has to say about $1 billion?
As a commander-in-chief of the National Guard and someone who served, we have a responsibility to put them in a position where they're protected and they have a clear mission.
Right soundbite. All right, that's not the right soundbite. That's a different soundbite from Tim Walz. I've got another one. If I can find it, here it is. I got it. Let's Let's get it for you, because I want you to hear what Tim Walz said, and I apologize for the confusion there. This is Tim Walz on Meet the Press.
Do you take responsibility for failing to stop this fraud in your state?
Well, certainly I take responsibility for putting people in jail. Governors don't get to just talk theoretically. We have to solve problems. And I will note, it's not just Somalis. Minnesota is a generous state. Minnesota is a prosperous state, a well-run state. We're AAA bond rated, but that attracts criminals. Those people are going to jail. We're doing everything we can. But to demonize an entire community on the actions of a few, it's lazy.
Demonize an entire community. Here's the problem. They were afraid to call out the fraud. I believe they saw the fraud early on, and they were scared to call it out because they didn't want to be accused of being racist. The old go woke, go broke. So they let it play out underneath their eyes and underneath their noses because they didn't want to be accused of being racist by calling it out. Now, he says he got other criminals. Well, in this fraud scheme, 78 of the 86 arrested were Somali. So I don't know what you're talking about, Tim. I could say, what are you, some kind of retard? But that's not a very nice thing to say. We don't use that word anymore, unless, of course, you're President Trump and you want to trigger the left.
Do you stand by that claim of calling Tim Walz retarded?
Yeah, I think there's something wrong with him. Absolutely, sure.
But you don't think
You have a problem with him? You know what? I think there's something wrong with him. Anybody that would do what he did, anybody that would allow those people into a state and pay billions of dollars out to Somalia. We give billions of dollars to Somalia. It's not even a country.
So you would think the media would focus on the message here, that Tim Walz is an idiot. Tim Walz is incompetent. He is disturbed. He is inept. But instead they focus on President Trump calling him retarded. He doesn't actually do it there. He just says he stands by the term that there's something wrong with him. Now in Indiana, you got some state representative who's backing off voting for the Republican redistricting plan because they have a Down syndrome child, and he's upset with President Trump for using the term retarded. Come on, man. So to punish President Trump, you're going to punish the entire nation because you're offended by terminology? It's words. Grow up. Let things roll off your back. That state representative in Indiana needs to be called out. Maybe I'll do it on the Real America's Voice show tonight because he needs to be called out. That is for sure. All right. As we continue here, I'm going to play you some interviews done with the Somali community in Minneapolis. And this was done by Nick Shirley, who's a great influencer. He goes out on the street, and he does a good job here. And it's interesting what he found. I think he found a bunch of fakers, quite personally. So before we get to that, though, let me tell you about my friends over at the Wellness Company. Folks, I'm telling you, if you don't have Spike Detox, if God forbid you took the vaccine, you want to get that Spike Detox out, this is the product for you, okay? Their newest product is this TheraBlue pain gel. Unbelievable. Here's what you do. You use it every day on your problem areas. It's not just a one-off. You use it every day. It penetrates deep, deeper than you can imagine. I used it all last week, and I've continued to use it. I have problems with my hips. I've got a torn labral cartilage tear in my right hip. Really making a big difference for me. And then I think one of the products that I love is the Mars product. This is for men. It's a testosterone booster. You're going to send your lady friend into the stratosphere. You get on this. It's going to change everything. Stamina, energy, you name it. Passion. You need it, you're going to get it with Mars. And then, of course, folks, the emergency medical kits. These are very important. 8 of the most important prescription medications to have in your house in case of emergency, including ivermectin in here. twc.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT for big savings. Use the promo code GRANT. twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off. All right, folks. As we continue to cover this fraud inside of Minnesota, Nick Shirley went out on the streets to talk to the Somali community about this. And here's what he found.
What's it like being a Muslim here in the United States?
I'm not speaking English, only one Somali language.
What does it mean to you to be a part of Islam?
I don't know, I'm not speaking English very well.
How are you?
All right. Do you believe they don't speak English? Because, look, I've lived in Texas long enough. We got a lot of people that speak Spanish. There are certain neighborhoods in Dallas here you can go and nobody speaks English. You need to speak Spanish in these neighborhoods. But I think a lot of times people pretend to not speak English. I've got a very dear friend of mine, her maid, nanny, housekeeper, whatever you want to call her, I think pretends not to speak English. I think understands full well, but pretends not to speak English to get away with things. I really do. I think that's what's happening here on the streets.
Do any of you speak English? English? No. Can women speak on camera? No. I kept going because I wanted to speak with some more of the elders here to see if they could share their story about coming here from Somalia and how they've seen the rise firsthand. However, Hello. None of them spoke English. How are you? Can I ask any of you guys some questions? No?
There's no assimilation whatsoever, right? Just even the way they are sitting is, you can see they're from a third world country. Let's just put it that way. Now, I don't care how you sit, but my point to that is that if you're going to assimilate into this country, you've got to start to pick up the traits, the cultural norms of America. You embrace that. You came here for a reason. I'm sure you came here because Somalia is an absolute shithole, okay? So you come to America, you want to have some success, you want to get a job, and yet they still cover their face. I understand that's their religion. But it's not the religion America was founded on, and it's not part of the cultural norms of America. And you can see here they just don't fit in at all.
Speak English?
English, no.
No. Do any of you speak English?
One woman's picking her nose on camera. She's literally picking her nose on camera. What more do I need to tell you about who's coming here? Okay? Now, have some decorum about yourself. Watch.
No.
No.
Look at the woman in green.
Speak English?
Pick me a winner, baby.
After
Pick me a winner. Please tell me she didn't put it in her mouth after. It's so freaking disgusting. And yet, these are the people we're bringing to America. I really don't want to import poverty. I really don't want to import uneducated people who are going to bring America down and not up. And I think, quite frankly, this is the problem right here. Now, people will say, oh, Grant, you're so mean, you're racist. No, I'm not. What I want is to bring people to America that are going to benefit this society. It doesn't mean you have to be rich. Look, we need people of all races, classes, wealth, status, whatever. But you can still operate in a way that helps America, not hurts it.
Somebody came up to us angry because we were asking people about the rise of Islam inside this community. My name is Nick Shirley.
What are you doing?
My name is Nick Shirley. I'm a YouTuber. We're doing a video on the rise of Islam here in the United States.
The rise of Islam.
Yeah, it's the #1 converting religion.
The rise of Islam. Make it make sense for me.
Yeah, it's the #1 it's the #1 converting religion in the United States. So we're doing a top
the
subject on it.
#1 converting religion in the United States.
It's like the #1 growing religion. So
wait, isn't it after Christ?
What?
Isn't it after Christ?
This guy wouldn't show his face on camera, and this conversation kept going for a few minutes, and he demanded that we deleted the footage of the interviews that we took here on the street. I said no, and he said, you better go, and we're gonna make sure you leave. I've never been in a situation like that while I've been filming, where somebody comes out of nowhere and wants to take the footage. I was watching a video prior to this video, and there is a Somali gang war going on here inside of these apartment complexes, apparently. I think we just went upon a gang, and I didn't know that they were a gang. And right now, he said, you better leave, and we're gonna make sure you get out of here. So right now, there is somebody following from behind, making sure that we get out of this place. Not the most friendly welcome here into this part of Minnesota.
All right, think about it. God bless Nick Shirley for going in there and give us some insight into that community and their lack of assimilation. And then we have the First Amendment in America, which means freedom of speech, freedom of the press, which means he can go in there and videotape anybody he wants. You don't have an expectation of privacy, yet they have no respect for that. Another example of the lack of assimilation into society. And what else did they resort to? Just like we talked about earlier, violence. If you don't get out of here, we're coming for you. Nick Shirley was right to trust them. If they tell you they're coming for you, they will come for you. I have no doubt about that. Now, in Minnesota, you can't go with a firearm. Everywhere I go in Texas, I carry my firearm with me. Oftentimes, when I go to Florida, I carry my firearm with me. But I can't do that in New York when I go home, my home state. The place that I grew up tells me I can't protect myself or my family. How offensive is that, by the way? When I would go out to California for the radio, I can't carry a firearm out there. They'd call me a criminal. They'd throw me in jail if I did that. Minnesota, I can't either. There's no reciprocity with Texas in Minnesota. So, well, on a total another topic, what do we need? We need national reciprocity in Congress to make sure that your driver's license is good in every state, which it is. We want our concealed handgun license to be good in every state, which it should be. One is a constitutional right. Driving a car isn't. You would think the constitutional right would have precedence over driving. Oh, I digress. So this is a situation. We bring these people in. It's bad news. President Trump talked about it.
And we frankly don't need their people coming into our country telling us what to do.
And you're talking about
I'm talking about like Somalia, where you have a congressman goes around telling everybody about our Constitution, and yet she supposedly came into our country by marrying her brother. Well, if that's true, she shouldn't be a congressman, and we should throw her the hell out of our country.
I'm with you, Mr. President. Talk about Ilhan Omar. Toss her. That's what I think we should do, is toss her. Now, the media is somewhat picking up on this story, and I think there's something behind the media's fascination with the fraud in Minnesota. The mainstream media, I am convinced, calls the shots for the Democrat Party. Because they call the shots, they realized Kamala Harris was a disaster. They see Tim Walz making the rounds, looking like he wants to run for president. The media is now saying, sit back down, Baldy. You are not running for president. This is a disaster in your state. You were a disaster vice president. You were a beta male who got made fun of on every step of the campaign trail. Sit your ass back down. Stay in Minnesota, not on the national campaign trail. And so I think this is all part of the media smashing Tim Walz right in the face and saying, we're not going to let you rise to any position of power on a national stage. You're too dangerous. Dangerous being that you can't win an election. That's dangerous for Democrats who want power so badly back in their hands. So they interviewed Klobuchar about this.
And our state has a good health care system, which we're also struggling with because Donald Trump won't do anything to help the people of this country. And then we decided to blame the Somalian population, 80,000 of which, by the way, work in our schools.
So she blames President Trump. What does President Trump have to do with any of this? Nothing. Other than the fact that Tim Walz is probably on the take. Probably. I don't know. I don't have any evidence of that. But it wouldn't shock me. I wonder how much money has been floated into his campaign through the Somali community. Only 80,000 Somalis. I get it. It's a big number when you think about sheer numbers. Not a big as number when you compare it to the entire population of the state. But 80,000 people, and the large majority of them are not bringing anything special to the United States of America. Now, folks, if you want to bring something special and you want to have great success in your life, there's really one way you can do that. That's to get in shape. I was at the grocery store yesterday. There's this big fat guy in the grocery store who's wiping down the cart, you know, the shopping cart, wiping it down with hand sanitizer and an antibacterial wipes. I'm thinking to myself, if you're so concerned about staying healthy from the germs and all that stuff, why wouldn't you lose weight? If you're really that concerned about your health and you think the germs may kill you, I'm going to tell you, you stand a better chance of dying from heart disease and your arteries clogged and you not being able to run away from an attacker because you're so fat or pull yourself out of a burning car. That's what you need to be concerned about, not wiping down the germs on a shopping cart. Guy's got it backwards. That guy needs Energized Health. EnergizedHealth.com. There's a master class on there. What you can do to get hydrated at a cellular level. The fat starts melting off. Muscle mass comes back. Testosterone levels go up. Cholesterol levels come down. Everything starts going in the right direction, including joint pain goes away. Mental clarity comes back. This hydration at a cellular level is like, I'm telling you, folks, I went through it. I lost 15 pounds in 2 weeks. I have mental clarity I feel like I've never had before. EnergizedHealth.com. That's EnergizedHealth.com. Watch that masterclass and then book a call, okay? That would be the key. Book a call. And they don't have salespeople. They just talked about what they have, and then you make the decision. But right now, as we're going into the holidays, I'm telling you, you could not make a better decision than to get with the folks at EnergizedHealth.com. All right. Let me give you an example of what's going on in America today, okay? Because we have a real situation where we have the National Guard troops that were shot in D.C. by Afghan nationals, not Somalis, but an Afghan national. You've got this situation in Fort Worth, Texas, just down the road from where I broadcast from. Another Afghan national posts a TikTok video saying he wants to blow up a Fort Worth building. Thankfully, the FBI sees it. They arrest him. This is a real problem. So I saw this U.S. soldier being interviewed on the Mexican border about Middle Eastern illegal aliens that are coming to this country, specifically Afghans, that he served overseas during, all of the craziness that we saw. I want you to listen to what he had to say about them and why we need to be so careful of them coming here.
Where did you serve? Where did you serve over in the Middle East?
In '91. I was in the first Persian excursion.
What's your feeling about those people, the way that they feel about the U.S.?
They hate us with a passion.
Why?
Why? Because we're us.
How did they treat you when you were there?
Did you hear that, though? I mean, I want to make sure you heard that. How do those people feel about us? They hate us with a passion. And yet they're so eager to come here. Well, that doesn't make any sense. If they hate us with a passion, why are they so eager to come here? 2 reasons. Either they realize they can still hate us and they can be prosperous here. That's a legitimate reason. I could see how that could be. Or they want to do us harm. They hate us so much they want to infiltrate the country and do us harm. That, to me, is probably a greater chance of what the reality is of why so many people are coming here from the Middle East.
Well, with respect, because I was armed.
Yeah.
Okay, but when you're not armed, you're nothing but the infidel. And they're, to me, it's kind of like having a dog that you got to tie a pork chop around your neck to play with you. Okay, the only reason they like us or even give you the time of day is because we're foolish enough to give them money or whatever they need.
Very
at the time.
well said.
But as soon as they're done with us, or they got somebody to give them bigger and better, we're the infidel again, and we deserve to die.
Now remember, some of these individuals that are responsible for the havoc over the last few weeks from the Afghanistan worked for the CIA. They were a CIA partner with the Afghan military. Now, I was one who said, you know what? If you put your life at great risk to help American soldiers, you're part of the crew that I think should come to America when this evacuation happened, if we can vet you and make sure that you're committed to America. The problem with that theory was I think we got duped. It sounded great, and many of my fellow conservatives felt that way when the debacle of an evacuation occurred, because it sounded like the human thing to do. The issue, though, was that so many of those CIA partners were only doing it for the money. were only doing it because they saw the writing on the wall that America was in control at the time, and maybe they would see it as a way to get to America, but they had no love for us. It was all selfish. Not everybody. I am sure there are some great heroes that saved lives, and I've talked to members of our military that said they're grateful for their partners there that helped them save lives. But I think that's a minority. And so we got in trouble when we allowed many of them to come here, as we just saw play out with these two incidents over the last couple weeks.
That's just what it is.
Wow. I go back to a question. I don't know if you were in when we had our little together time, but
no, he wasn't there.
He wasn't here. I have a very and give
Be
me
careful of the question.
No. You got short, concise, powerful answers. I like them. Question is, how surprised would you be within the next? Actually, no. Let me say it the other way. How long do you think it is until we have another 9/11?
I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet.
Really?
I tell you what. As soon as they figure out how to get a nuclear device in here, we will lose the city. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. As soon as they figure out how to do it or where to get it through, we will lose the city. I guarantee you that.
And where's the most open door right now?
Yeah.
Right here. Texas,
Well,
Arizona.
you're on the front lines, bro.
Yeah.
From here all the way up through Arizona, California, everywhere.
What he's saying there, really, you need to take a deep breath and think about why President Trump is sealing the border. And you know, you can't be 100% sealed. There are those who are going to get through. I mean, there's no way to bring anything to 100%. Now, President Trump has done a phenomenal job of bringing it down to virtually zero, but it only takes one. And think Joe Biden let them in by the tens, by the hundreds of thousands, by the millions. He let them into this country. They sneak a nuclear bomb into America, we will lose an American city. I wonder if we've caught anyone with a nuclear bomb. I don't think our government would tell us. They like to tell us about the guy who was going to blow up a Fort Worth building. They caught him on TikTok, and they'll parade him in front of the cameras and throw up his mugshot, who was listed as white, by the way, on the arrest papers, which is just utterly disgusting. But they'll throw that guy around because it shows you that the FBI's on their game, and you can feel safe because they're doing their thing. But if they tell you they catch somebody with a nuclear bomb in America, I'm thinking, you know what? It's just a matter of time. Where's the other one? If you get one nuclear bomb in, you probably have more than one. This is why they'll never tell us. I wonder if it's happened already. Quite frankly, probably has. And so when you think about Tom Homan going around and rounding up all these people and trying to get them out of our country to keep us safe, you've got the governor of Oregon who's out there spouting off that she or he, whatever the hell this it is going to arrest ICE agents. Arrest ICE agents.
Hello, Oregon. Governor Kotek here. I want to talk with you about something that should concern every one of us. I believe, as you do, in the rule of law and keeping our community safe. We also believe in being a welcoming place where our immigrant and refugee communities help our state thrive. The ongoing violent actions of the Federal Department of Homeland Security are unacceptable, going after Oregonians and stoking fear in the name of immigration enforcement.
So they're not going after Oregonians. They're going after illegal aliens, Mexicans, Somalis, I don't know, Qataris, I don't know, from other countries, Nicaraguans, Venezuelans, you name it, Cubans, wherever, Chinese, they came in from everywhere. But they're not going after Oregonians. If you're a citizen of the United States, you'll be arrested if you're a criminal by the FBI or another agency inside the Department of Homeland Security, but ICE isn't coming for you if you're an American citizen. So that's just a flat, plain-ass lie.
But using excessive force, reckless tactics, and even putting bystanders and local law enforcement in danger. It's not how public safety works, and it's not okay in Oregon. No government agency is above the law. I fully support the AG and local DAs who have put the federal government on notice Oregon is monitoring all ICE actions closely. We will investigate misconduct, and if federal officer breaks Oregon law, they will be held accountable.
Well, there's been no instance of a federal officer breaking Oregon law in these roundups. None. She knows that. This is like the seditious six telling President Trump his illegal orders, they should be disobeyed. Well, they all admit there's been no illegal orders given. So you got no federal agent breaking the law. So what are you talking about? You're just stoking the flames of violence. You're telling the people of Oregon that it's okay to commit violence against these ICE agents. It's okay to dox them, follow them around. Well, you know what else? As much as you're watching federal agents are watching you, Kotek. The Department of Justice is probably watching you. What shenanigans are you involved with? Let's get the FBI to open up your books and go see what's actually happening.
Just like anyone else. I will not tolerate reckless or unconstitutional behavior in our state. While ICE activity has seen an uptick in recent weeks, so is the commitment of Oregonians to show up for each other, taking care of their neighbors, and standing up when they see something that isn't right. Thank you for doing that. Let's continue to work together to defend the safety, dignity, and rights of every Oregonian.
Oh, shut up, dude. Does she want to be known as a dude, or does she want to be known as a woman? I'll call her whatever she doesn't want to be known as. I don't know. Why do I get so mean-spirited sometimes? Because I'm mad at these people. That's why. So I lash out with insults. But that's not really the way to go through life. You don't want to lash out with insults. Just keep it factual. But the insults are so much fun. I mean, aren't they? This is like a female Where's Waldo. Isn't she? Where's Waldo? I don't know. With white hair, of course. Ay. All right, folks. Have you heard of Augusta Precious Metals? Now is the time. They believe that gold could go to $10,000 an ounce by the end of the year coming up. Now, that's amazing. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to grantlovesgold.com. There's a 2-minute video that could absolutely change your life. I want you to go watch that video, and then you decide if you think gold needs to be a part of your portfolio. Just watch the video. That's all I'm asking. So if you've got $50,000 at least in a retirement savings account, grantlovesgold.com, Augusta Precious Metals, they are one of the top precious metals outlets in America today. I only associate my name with places that I can trust. And so I do believe Augusta Precious Metals you can trust. And I know there's a lot of gold companies out there asking for your business, but I would urge you to check them out here. This video is really great. It's only 2 minutes long. You can check that out, grantlovesgold.com, or just text Grant to the number 35052. That's Grant to the number 35052. Augusta Precious Metals, and you tell them Grant sent you. All right. All right, folks. Now to the drug boat situation. There was word that Pete Hegseth had ordered the military to return and take out another drug boat for a second time. So it hits the drug boat, doesn't take it completely out. He orders it to go back, the military to go back and make sure that threat is wiped out. Well, the report was that he wanted everyone dead on the boat. Pete Hegseth has adamantly denied this, has said this is fake news. 100% was not the order. The order was to render the boat uninhabitable, debilitated. And they did. This happens all the time. The goal of the strike is to take out the boat. If it's not taken out, you go back a second time. If there are survivors around, that is of no consequence. Now, as a human being, you see people being killed, even my enemies. I don't like it. But in the end, it has to be done. And this sends a message, do not come to America. Now, again, Pete Hegseth has said this story is false. Do I believe him? Of course. Because I have seen a history of trustworthiness from our Secretary of War. I've seen a history of untrustworthiness from Senator Mark Kelly, Captain Sedition, okay? I might as well play for you what he says about all this, and then we'll respond.
On how how this is all legal. And I was saying weeks ago, my concern is with the service members, that we're gonna put these individuals in a really, really tough decision, in a tough place. And they may find out, down the road that they did something that is illegal. It is not fair to them.
This is the seditious six, who I believe are being organized, and it was a play on America, being run. Their handler, according to General Michael Flynn, appears to be John Brennan. John Brennan is the one who may have orchestrated all of this, just as he orchestrated the Hunter Biden laptop. So as you think about that, think about what Captain Sedition is saying there. Then you get this clown, Tim Kaine, this is a guy, Democrat senator, who would rather stick up for drug dealers, murderers, drug traffickers, narco terrorists, than he would stick up for American citizens who need our help.
The Southcom's lead attorney said these strikes were not lawful. The decision of allies like the UK to stop sharing intelligence with the United States in this area because they believe the strikes are illegal. It's time for Congress to rein in a president who is deciding to wage war on his own say-so, which is not what the Constitution allows.
All right. So the Constitution allows for the commander-in-chief to provide for the national security of America and take steps necessary to protect American citizens. You don't need a declaration of war to take out a boat that is headed to kill American citizens, and that's what those fentanyl boats are. They're headed to kill American citizens. So I would argue that President Trump is doing the absolute right thing, and these ass clowns called Democratic senators posing as Americans, they're not, certainly don't act like it, are the ones that are putting us all in danger. Here's Caroline Levitt.
And I would just add one more point to remind the American public why these lethal strikes are taking place. Because this administration has designated these narco-terrorists as foreign terrorist organizations. The president has a right to take them out if they are threatening the United States of America.
All right. Important that President Trump does just that. Take them out. Now, we're lucky that we have President Trump in office. I told you that besides the safety and security of America from a physical perspective, the safety and security of America is at stake when it comes to our election integrity. We have not done enough since President Trump's, what will we call it, third election, 2024. We certainly hadn't done enough since 2020. But we swamped the vote in 2024. We got him into the Oval Office, which is what we wanted. But I don't think we were as far along as we needed to be when it comes to election integrity. Now we're a year from that election, and I'm learning that North Carolina DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles, is registering non-citizens. The Department of Justice has issued a letter wanting information from the DMV on how in the world did 6 non-citizens get registered to vote. I'm happy to see local media, at least, is taking an active look at this. This is a local Charlotte television station that started digging in, and they had one of the people that was helping them with this investigation call some of the people that were registered. Now, they're not here illegally, but they're not American citizens. So they're legal aliens in America, okay? Legal. Lawful residents. But they can't be voting. You got to be a United States citizen to vote. So watch how this goes down.
People who federal prosecutors are accusing the Department of Motor Vehicles of illegally registering to vote. He is 22. With the help of Jorge's fluent Spanish.
Buenas tardes.
We made contact with 2 of them who had similar things to say.
She made it clear that she did not register incorrectly. She was not fraudulent on anything. She had no idea until they reached out to her.
So they claim that, oh, sorry about that, folks. Let me get this back up. They claim, I don't want you to have to look at his ugly mug. I'd rather you look at this beautiful face. Oh, I only wish. I look old sometimes, don't I? Gosh, my hair is going. I don't know. I feel good, though. I don't feel 56. Maybe that's because of Energized Health. What the hell was I saying? Oh, They didn't sign up, they claim, these legal residents of North Carolina. So who signed them up? You go to the DMV, just about every state across the country asks you if you want to register to vote. I would venture to say not one state in this country actually verifies your citizenship status. Now, after this story came out, after the Justice Department is investigating North Carolina, the Justice Department, working with now North Carolina, the State Board of Elections in North Carolina, they're going to use a verification system offered up by the federal government to cross-reference citizenship status of voters and make sure any people are weeded out. That is a good step, but I don't understand why we're just figuring that out now. That should have been done a long time ago, not now. I mean, I'm glad we're doing it now, but it should have been done. It should have been done 4 years ago, 5 years ago. But this is where we're at, and it's quite frankly frightening to think of where we're at with all of this. All right. Lastly, folks, I want to play for you something that I am very proud of. So I figure if my TV career doesn't work out, you know where I'm going to go? Hollywood, baby. But I don't need to shoot in Hollywood. We can shoot in states like Florida and Texas, which is where we shot Call Him King. This is a new series that is set to be released. I don't know when and I don't know where, but my buddy Robert Davi, the great actor from Goonies and Die Hard and so many other great movies, asked me to play the role of a prison warden in a CIA thriller where we get, I want to give it away, we get one of the inmates on death row out of prison so he can go work with the CIA. Call Him King is the name of this series. They released just a little bit of my debut there. Check it out.
What did he do?
Shot up a pizza joint after hours. Thankfully, nobody was injured.
Like a bodies don't get you on death row.
No, after that, he went home. Shot and killed his wife and kid. His son's 2 college buddies who were off for the weekend.
Jesus.
An old neighbor called it in.
What's his name?
His name is Gabriel. He goes by his last name. I guess just call him King.
Call Him King. Can you imagine if that takes off? How am I going to weigh all this? The podcasts, the Real America's Voice show, and a TV career on a great series, on a drama like Call Him King. I don't know. I'll figure it out, baby. I promise you that. That was fun. Ciro DiPaggio is the producer, director, and the star in this film. That was his wife, Lola, next to me, and she did great. The whole cast is fabulous. My buddy Robert Davi, big name in this. I can't wait for it to come out. So I will keep you posted. But let me know what you think. I would love to know. Was that good? Did I seem legit? I don't know. It was the first time I ever tried acting. I certainly don't act here for you, as you know. What you get is what you get here on Stinchfield. Folks, that is going to do it for us. I would urge you, do not forget GrantStinchfield.com and Stinchfield1776. Follow me anywhere that you can and spread this. If you're watching, hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast. You can find it where all podcasts are found, but on Rumble and YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share it, copy, paste the link. I don't care what you do. Just spread the word as much as you possibly can, and I am so very grateful for that. With that, Stinchfield's Army rolls. Thanks to all of you. We will see you on the Real America's Voice show tonight, where we will blow the lid on the mainstream media and their quest to try to tell you that President Trump is somehow not healthy. Well, I was with President Trump all week last week, and I can tell you about that tonight on the Real America's Voice show. Literally with him all week. The man is healthy as an ox. Trust me on that one. Take it to the bank. I'm Grant Stinchfield. God bless all of you. We'll see you tonight on The Rav Show.